guest today is Arvind Patel, Centre President for Sri Satya Sai Centre of Greater Manchester.
My humble pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagwan. I wanted to basically start by praying to Swami that he makes my words, thoughts sacred today and filled with love.
I would like to start by asking you about your journey with Swami, Arvind Bhai. How did your journey with Swami start and how did it evolve?
Well, that's a tough question. So basically, from what I recollect, 1970 or thereabouts was the time when I learned about Swami, and my sort of introduction to Swami was through a science center in Bradford run by Arvind Patel and Arvind Patel. So they were basically the initiators, and they're the ones who shared with me. I was just studying at the university. I had no idea about Bhagwan's avatar. From that moment in the 1970s, when we lived in Bradford and I went to university there, then in 1975, after I graduated from university, I found a job down south in London, and Swami made it possible for me to meet another devotee that I had no previous connection, Mr. Krishan Kaur. Krishan Bhai at that time was a regular attendee to the Pina Science Center and was basically, I think, the Sevadal convener for the UK, if I remember right. So he then became my sort of mentor for giving me more background on Swami and the organization, and so it was a slow introduction, but it was almost staged by Bhagwan in such a way that each milestone came and there was somebody there to take me to the next stage. So in 1981, so I'm sort of skipping the years here, 1981 we lived in the London area. And my son Prashant was born. He was about 8 months old. My daughter was about 4 years old. That's the first time we went to Prashanti Nilayam. So although I came to know about Swami in the early 70s, for the 10 or 11 years, I had no opportunity to go to Prashanti Nilayam for various reasons. 1981 was the first time we went there. This is the time when there was sand everywhere with the Ganesha Murti in the middle. I mean, it was genuinely good opportunity, believe me. And Swami used to walk pretty much within feet, several feet away, very freely, only a couple hundred people in the Darshan area and so on. Very, very unique experience. I don't think it dawned on us at that time. To us, it was just a visit. So that kind of took us to the next level, now that we've seen Swami in 1981. Since then, I've tried to remain connected, and in 2001, this is when we lived in the Greater Manchester area, I was asked to consider taking on the role. So I became a centre president, and again, it's only Swami's grace that these things happen. So I've been a centre president since 2000. I've been connected with the Greater Manchester Science Centre, since 2001. Became centre president much later. So that's pretty much like a timeline for my journey to date, which, by the way, you've gathered is 50 years now, almost, in 2019. So it's been a remarkable journey, to say the least. But those are the major milestones.
You mentioned to me that you had a dream of Swami on the 21st of January 2010. Can you share that experience?
Well, yes, happy to do that. I mean, dreams are difficult to even remember, by anybody's imagination. So I've made a point now that anytime I get a dream where Swami is in the dream, I tend to wake up and instantly go and document whatever I can remember. So I try not to let the day go and sort of create my own version, if you like, of the dream. So try and document it. So this particular dream that I've chosen to share on the 21st of January 2010, I've again extracted a few notes from my own diary, and if you don't mind, I'd like to sort of use my notes to make sure that I don't exaggerate anything that I recalled. Before we do that, I wanted to mention that in Satya Sai Speaks, volume 31, I believe it's around page 50, I can't remember exactly, Swami talks about dreams during that lecture and during the discourse. And I extracted the following lines. Dreams are nothing but reflections of the subconscious mind. Very true. Then he goes on saying, Swami appearing in your dreams is very auspicious. Dreams occur because they are accumulated by your subconscious mind. The same does not apply to the dreams in which Swami appears. So these are his own statements. Swami appears in the dreams only when he wills it and not when you want it. So I think that's a treasure chest really to be privileged to have a dream in which Swami is there. So let me give you a short account on that dream that I took in the notes. It starts by saying I was sitting very near Baba and enjoying his darshan. I can't recall exactly where it was. I was focused on Swami and then I started speaking with him. So a dialogue started. Can't recall what exactly I said. Baba responded and asked me to sit in front of his chair and then asked me to lie down on the floor. I didn't know what was happening now. Baba then came and started to pass his hand over my body as though he was healing. And going back and forth from the heart area to the end of the feet. Then I looked up to Swami and he had transformed into another form, physical form. That to me looked like Tirupati Balaji, but I could be mistaken. That's the closest I can remember. This transformation from Satya Sai physical form into Tirupati Balaji remained just for a few seconds and then he reverted back to his physical form. I then asked Swami if it was possible for him to visit our home this time. So I have no idea where the location was. Baba replied to me saying, yes. I asked him, will it be today? He said, not today. Tomorrow morning is better. I then asked him, how would I arrange the logistics of receiving him in the house, in the home? He says that he will speak to the appropriate person about it. So I woke up from the dream around 5:30 and could not contain my joy. But that was the end of my notes on the dream.
During the month of August 1997, Arvind, I understand you went on a pilgrimage to Prashanti Nilayam and had an opportunity for divine darshan.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share your experience from the divine darshan?
Yes, I'm happy to do that. We, as a family, we lived in the San Francisco Bay Area in that time frame, from 1987 onwards. So in the August 1997 time frame, we were in San Francisco. I had a very highly established career, and Swami had taken me from a career-wise to the top. Almost felt like he was going to drop me to the next level now. But watch what happens next. My son and I traveled to Prashanti Nilayam in August 97. On the 12th of August, which was I think like our 5th day in the ashram, was our last full day. My son had said, looks like Swami, he was a teenager from California. He said, it looks like Swami doesn't know why you're here. I said, he is. So he used to write notes, put him in his pocket. Baba doesn't even look at it, doesn't collect anything, nothing. On this last day, in the morning darshan, I saw Swami approaching me. But sometimes you feel like he's approaching you, but he's not. He's walking towards you. He started walking towards me, and within a fraction of seconds, he's standing right in front of me. Which, everybody has said that you become spellbound, you don't know what to do. Believe me, it is true. Because I kind of became anxious and I didn't know what to do. So I did a little bit of Charan Splash, I think, And then I opened my palm in front of him. My mother had asked me to carry a white handkerchief for blessing. So I had my handkerchief in the palm. So I opened it. And he says, no, give me your hand, in English. Meaning, don't give me the handkerchief. So I took the handkerchief, gave him the palm. Immediately materialized vibhuti. I can remember the vibhuti starting to drop in my palm, but after that, passed out. I cannot remember what happened. And it must have lasted no more than a few seconds at best. When I came conscious again, Swami had gone several feet away, walked away. So the devotees around me, my son was sitting in the third row, I was sitting in the front row, started saying, oh, very privileged, so lucky, Swami came, materialized. But to me, it was like a narrative that they were telling me, because the only thing I could remember is what I've described. So obviously we were all highly excited. But then what? He then went towards where my son was sitting, although he was in the third row. Note. That was the expression, note. So he had to stretch out, and hand the note lelio. So both things happened on the last day. Because remember, he was always saying, how does he know we're here? I'm writing these notes. He didn't seem to pay attention. Okay. Both wishes were granted on the last day. We, as usual, go out to the Prashanti outside of the ashram. We started walking around. In the evening, after the evening darshans are over, there used to be a shop called Baba Photo. I don't know if it's there, we couldn't see it anyway. A shop where I think it was his official photographer who could take pictures nobody else could take. Okay, and he lays them all out on a table, small size, 4x6 or something, and you basically just go through, and if you find something interesting, you buy it. You won't believe it, Amish, but the picture in which Swami, my son, and I are in the frame was there, and electronically dated the 12th of August 97. That means it was taken that day. I think I don't know if the picture was taken. I think it must have been taken in the evening or something. Because the positions were not what they were in the morning. But it doesn't matter. It was captured. We bought the picture. He doesn't have negatives, and he just sells you the picture. With the humidity, the picture started sticking. Because then they use Polaroid kind of cameras. Anyway, we treasured that picture. We have it here. I have an electronic copy. It's not clearest, but it's there, and we both were absolutely delighted. On our journey home, my son had purchased this Howard Murphy's book, Man of Miracles. Somewhere in that book, it says that Baba doesn't give you anything unless there is a reason. So even the Vibhuti materialization didn't happen by accident. So I said to myself, what could be the reason? Because we have pretty much everything you could ask for, Just to cut the story short, few months after we returned, I lost my job in California. But in America, losing a job is no joke, especially if you're in a high earning capacity, because your outgoings are equally high, your liabilities are equally high. My 2 kids are about to go to college. And you are at the peak of your liability. Boom, the bottom fell. And that's what, then a lot of things materialized after that, but that's what led me to come back to the UK. And where we are today. So Swami has played a tremendous role at each phase of our life.
Arvind Bhai, I've known you for a few years now, and I know you are really passionate about serving Swami. How did you develop this passion, and what experiences can you share with us?
Well, once you are in Swami's fold, you don't plan anything. You don't develop anything. You just basically work with Sai in his organization, and somehow your skills and your faith and your spiritual development happens. But just to give you a couple of short narratives on how I've been able to fulfill this passion. I started as a Sevadal convener in Bradford. That was my first introduction. That was my role actually in the centre. When I moved to London, Krishan Bhai used to edit and publish a newsletter for the UK. I think mainly for Sevadal, but maybe for other things. So we had this manual typewriter. I don't know if any people remember it, but I do. He used to take that typewriter to his house and type it away for him. So I'm basically secretary and typing it and helping him to edit this newsletter. And mistakes are made and you have to Tipex it and so on. Total nightmare, But that was part of my service that allowed me to grow up. Then when I moved to Manchester, Greater Manchester became another venue to help me to cultivate my interest and my growth in the love of sign. And so here I've been going for several years now in Greater Manchester. Was basically served as a service coordinator before I became centre president. The privilege that I have had, because remember in my dream earlier that I mentioned, Swami said, I will ask somebody to arrange it. Well, this is what happened in 9th of February 2018. I don't know if you remember, but the late Mr. Vijay Bhaskar was visiting UK. He actually went and had a satsang at Greater Manchester Science Centre, was one of the first ones to host a satsang. I had the privilege to pick him up with his wife and bring him to our home before we go to the centre for some refreshments, and had a lovely time and so on. So when I reflect back, because he was a member of the Satya Sai Central Trust and so on, when Swami said, I will ask somebody to me, there is no difference in Vijay Bhai walking in the house with his 5, and Swami walking in the house. There is absolutely no distinction at all. Okay, so I think every statement you hear from Swami, whether it's in a dream or in a physical form, happens. Is all I'm saying. There is no question about it being forgotten, etc. So we treated that visit from him as a closing point, where we couldn't now say Swami hasn't been now, because he has been.
Spiritual transformation is something we all strived at an individual level, Arvind Bhai. How have you evolved in your spiritual transformation?
Well, spiritual transformation is for all of us. That's what Swami wants us to focus on. And I think his aim and goal behind setting up the organization was to give us the platform to practice and to evolve and develop spiritually. I don't think this is like an exam test where you have to pass, get certain marks and so on. But in my particular case, I wanted to show you this paperweight here. I purchased this from Prashanthi Nilayam many years ago, probably in the 1981. I got to a point where all the business trips I used to make, I carried that paperweight with me in the and it will stay next to my cabinet, in the bedside cabinet, wherever I travel. And the reason was that it gave me the assurance that he's there before I retire, when I woke up in the morning and so on. You won't believe it, but a few years back I questioned, why am I not graduating? Why am I still having to look for a paperweight, a physical form, a picture of Baba, etc., to feel like he's with me? So I quit taking it now. So I do not take this paperweight or any other thing and place it by my bedside or anything like that. As far as I'm concerned, he is with me and I have to connect with him, find a way to connect. Which he has given many ways to do that. And I found it works like a charm. I used to also be a big fan of, in those days people used to wear rings with Baba's picture put on the ring. Very good. I mean, that used to be the trend. People still do that now. I used to do it. I don't have any rings now. I don't have any lockets. I don't wear any lockets now. In fact, I'm slowly getting to a point where symbolic rituals don't mean that much to me now. Because I feel his presence is there within me all the time. So I don't look for, physical confirmation, has this happened, has that happened, has he come, has he not come? And it's taken me a while to cross that boundary, but believe me, once you make that small step, it's joy. Knowing that he's there all the time, irrespective of where you are, what you're carrying, not carrying, etc. So I think that's kind of been my version of my journey with Sai. Jai Sai Ram.